What's up, guys? I'm Youngsters Gamemore, and today I'm going to give my first impressions on Horizon Zero Dawn, which is a game I got for Christmas. But before I start, I'm going to mention that I am unfortunately very sick right now. So if I am breathing a little heavy, or if I my voice sounds a little weird, or if I do a little cough throughout the video, hopefully I'll try not to, and maybe I'll edit it out if I do. But if I sound a little weird, please forgive me, because that's why. Anyway, since I am sick, I literally played so many video games yesterday. It was ridiculous. It is the most, I think it might be the most time I've spent playing video games in one day, ever, in my whole life. And that is definitely possible. So I literally had almost nothing to do yesterday, and I was just sitting home sick, and I woke up really early, 7:45. So I literally pretty much played video games all day, except for a little bit of college work I had to do. And I think I played video games for about 11 to 12 hours yesterday, which is insane. But it was fun, so I guess there are some benefits to being sick. Although I probably would have done the same thing even if I wasn't sick, because I didn't really have anything to do anyway. But of course it's, gonna get sick during the break, but oh well, what am I gonna do about it? So one of the games I played yesterday was Horizon Zero Dawn, which is a game that I got for Christmas, and I played about 4.5 hours of that game so far. So just to give you something to measure by what these impressions are based off of. Though I do play games pretty slowly, so I'll just put that out there generally. And before I start talking about my thoughts on the game, I should probably mention that I have very, very little experience with open world games. So, the only, originally, pretty much the only open world game I'd played, was Grand Theft Auto 5, and I didn't even own that game for a while, but I had a lot of my friends really loved that game, so I would play it at their houses every once in a while. And I never really liked it. That being said, I never really I actually ended up getting that game last year for Christmas because my brother wanted it. And I've played it a little bit more since then, just when my brother's playing. I'm like, can I try? And then I played for a little bit. So I probably played about 8 to 10 hours of that game in total, even though it's never on my own file or anything. I never started my own file of that game. And a lot of that was even from before I owned it, but. So that was, for a while, the only experience I really had with open world games, and everyone, not everyone obviously, but that game is universally beloved. So many people love that game, whether it's casual gamers or gaming outlets give it all great reviews. So it always kind of surprised me that I didn't really enjoy it. And that being said, maybe if I tried it on my own file, it'd be different. But from what I had played of it, I know this is not about GTA, it's about Horizon, but I think it's relevant, and I'll get to that. I didn't really like it because I thought that there wasn't, among other reasons, but specifically the open world element, because it was the only open world game I played. I felt like a lot of the time was just spent, just moving around the world. Literally so much time in GTA is just spent driving around, which is pretty boring. And then, there isn't that much interesting, there aren't that many interesting things on a lot of parts of the world, because the world is so big that it's hard to fill up a world with with a lot of interesting stuff. So for a while I was kind of turned off of open world games. I didn't really play any other than GTA 5 because I didn't like GTA 5. And also they're just, a little overwhelming, and they're just kind of hard to get into, and they have high barriers of entry because that they're usually really long games. So you only you don't want to, you're not just going to start playing one, I guess, on a whim and just play for a little bit, because you got to kind of get into that mindset and hunker down and be prepared to spend 60, 80, whatever hours on that game. So that's another reason that I didn't play that many, really any. So because a lot of times I like to just start playing a 15-hour game, because it's not that much commitment, I guess. But then March, Zelda came out, and as a huge Nintendo fan, and since it was and by the way, everything I had seen of Zelda, I actually had really excited me. So I'm like, all right. Even though it was open world, I was still excited for it, even though I hadn't really had much experience with open world games. So I bought Zelda, and I played it, and I absolutely love it. I've played that game for over 100 hours. And I still haven't even beaten it yet. That's how crazy that is. So now, obviously, my opinion of open world games is different. So I still, I've only played 2. One of them I don't like, one of them I love. So I don't really have any opinion on them, I guess. It just varies from game to game. But I'm really glad Zelda proved that, that I can like them. So now I started playing Horizon Zero Dawn, having I haven't just played Zelda, but over the last 9 months I played a lot of Zelda. Even 2 months ago I played for a fair amount. So Zelda is still pretty recent in my memory, right? So I don't have much to compare Horizon to other than Zelda. So a lot of when I've been playing it, I've been kind of thinking about Zelda, and like how this game is different. Because I kind of expected it to be more like Zelda since I have very little experience with open world games. I kind of expected it to be, I guess, more like a little bit more like Zelda because like I guess that was all the only experience I had. So I'm like, it'll probably be somewhat similar to this, and it's a lot more different than I actually had expected, which is really interesting. So and I guess that's why one of the reasons why people love Zelda so much, Breath of the Wild, is because in that game, you're pretty much the whole world is just opened up to you. After you do a little bit of stuff in the beginning, you can just explore the entire world at your own pace, and you can climb on everything and explore everything. In Horizon, there's a lot. It's not like, I guess, really about exploring, I don't think, because, or at least from, like I said, this is like just having played a few hours, so keep that in mind. So there's just early impressions, not solidified opinions yet. But like, there's a lot of like mountains and stuff around me, but you just like can't climb them, you know. Like, there's just like either invisible walls or it's just stuff like that on certain parts of the environment. So it isn't about, you know, just like exploring every like nook and cranny like Zelda is. Sorry, I got briefly interrupted. But anyway, even though it's an open world game, some of the parts of the environment aren't like open. I guess some parts like aren't explorable. So it's like has more some linear-esque parts, I guess. Even though it's open world, I don't know. It's hard to explain. Like I'll be like on a path and there'll be a mountain to the right and the left. But I can't really climb either of those mountains because there's invisible walls and stuff. So it's still an open world game, but there's some parts of the environment that aren't explorable. So I don't know. It's a little just interesting coming from Zelda, that you have a little bit less freedom in that way. And also like there's less freedom, you know, in exploring the environments. Like Zelda, you have that glider, which is just like sick. You can just fly down from anywhere. But that's kind of, you know, a little bit unfair to just compare. Just like, oh, it's not Zelda. But it's just interesting comparing them because that's really the only open world game I've played a lot of, so like the comparisons are just kind of naturally there. Once I play a lot more Horizon, I'm sure I'll get more used to its style and its gameplay. But anyway, it's also, by the way, a little bit difficult navigating the environment sometimes. Like some of the moves Aloy does, Aloy's the main character, don't always feel supernatural. They don't always feel that natural. So like just like climbing over stuff, it's like sometimes a little bit awkward. But anyway. I'm going to start talking about now, like, chronologically what happens. So, the beginning of this game is really interesting in that it starts off, so far it's been a pretty story-focused game, which I like, and it starts off with a cutscene of Aloy when she's a baby, and she's with this guy who's, by the way, I knew very little about the story of this game before going into it, so, and she's with some guy, and the guy, both the adult guy and Aloy, who's a baby at this point, they're both outcasts, but you don't know why they're outcasts. And the thing with outcasts is no one in like the tribe is allowed to talk to them. If you don't know, by the way, Horizon Zero Dawn takes place like in a far dystopian, like a far, far future, in which like, but like you don't know how like Earth, like it's pretty clearly a far, far future of Earth, but you don't know like how Earth got there. So like we're basically living in like a tribe, kind of like cavemen. But there's also these like machines that like are like wild animals, but they look like machines. So that's pretty. Like it's pretty interesting setup. But anyway, you're with like the guys trying to like do this ritual because you're 6 months old, and apparently like this ritual, like you have to they like shout your name off into the canyon, and like it echoes back because it's just an echo, but they view that as the goddess echoing it back. So but then it shows that scene, and it shows like that guy like cares about you and stuff, and then it cuts to another part of the game. And this part like lasted for like 2 hours or something like that, maybe like an hour, hour and a half. But I took it really slowly. It could have probably been much shorter. Where you're 6.5 years, or like 6.5 years old. So now you play for like a pretty significant amount of time as a 6.5-year-old kid. Reminded me kind of Uncharted 4 when you play as Nathan when he's pretty young, but he's not that young. So it's really interesting, like somehow being able to relate to this young child. But I definitely could relate to her. So, because it kind of reminded me when I was a child too, but Aloy has a really tough life because like she pretty much has no one to talk to, other than that one guy. So it's a little bit difficult. Like, no, it's not a little bit. What am I saying? Sorry, I left my train of thought. It's crazy. Like it's crazy difficult. Like that's such a hard life to live. Growing up, and all the kids shun her. And there's a scene when she's 6.5, and like these kids are like making fun of her, and someone like throws a rock at her. And like hits her in the head, and like they're all just mean to her, and even the adults are like, "Don't talk to the outcast kids," and everyone just treats her so horribly, and I feel so bad for her. Because obviously, there's no like some people who are outcasts probably did something wrong, but there's no justifiable reason for a baby to be set as an outcast for life, and I think it has something to do with like how she was born or something, like who her mother is, because Aloy doesn't know who her mother is, or her father is either. She's just raised by this outcast because the tribal leaders told him to raise her, and he believes it because this guy Rost, who's the guy who raises Aloy, he's like, even though he's an outcast, he treats the rules of the tribe as very important. But so he raises her. But anyway, when you're 6.5, it shows like that there's these kids, and she's like collecting berries, or all these kids are collecting berries for like this woman, and then Aloy collects some berries and tries to give them to the woman, and the woman's like, and then she's like, kids, let's leave. There's an outcast here. We can't talk to the outcast. And Aloy gets really sad, so she starts tearing up, and she runs away, and she falls into like these ruins, and she doesn't know how to get out. And these ruins are very clear, like they're called, I don't remember what they're called, but they're the old ones are basically what they call like humans. Like that lived like in our time, or it's actually a little bit later. Like I found this like one log that was like from 2066, so I guess that's around the time when whatever happened that led to the downfall of humanity. So she's like exploring these like ruins and then I can recognize things like that are reminiscent of our time, but she doesn't know because she's like this is all crazy to her. And she finds this device that she can like put on her head that can like let her see all the technology, and like it's basically like a Google, kind of like a Google Glass, I guess, except it just goes on the side of her head and she can see everything because it's futuristic. So, and it gives her all this information. And like then when she, so there's actually like an hour long. Well, anyway, then when she like looks at machines now, she can like see their weak points and like stuff like that. But anyway, then there's a pretty long scene of you like in the ruins, which I liked for a while. Like it was fun like exploring them, and like the environment was really pretty. But then after a little bit, that scene started to drag a little on. But maybe that was kind of my fault because I took it really slowly. Anyway, then she gets out, and this is all just like the introduction of the game. And then there's like a tutorial after that when like sorry, I have to cough. When Rost is like teaching you how to hunt and stuff. That was really that was kind of an annoying thing. When after you escape the ruins, Rost is like teaching Aloy how to hunt, and you can just like run away, and it's just like you're leaving the quest area, and then it just like teleports you back. But I mean, I guess I don't know how else they would do it, but it was just kind of unimmersive, It teaches you how to hunt. So the game, then after that, he's talking about there's this thing called, so basically Aloy, I don't remember what order all the stuff was in, but when Aloy is 6, she is really sad because all the kids treat her horribly. This was, I think, after she teaches how to hunt, which is kind of like a tutorial. And she's like, who is my mother? I need to find out. Why do they treat me like this? And Rost doesn't know, but he says there's only one way for you to find out, is like to do this thing called the proving. And like if you win or if you succeed, I don't know if it's I don't really know what the proving is yet, but it's this like either like a trial or a competition. I don't know if it's against other people or if it's just like a bunch of tasks you have to do. But it's like if you either win or succeed in the proving, then the elders give you whatever you want. So I feel like it has to be a competition between a bunch of people, because otherwise everyone could do these trials and everyone can get whatever they want, which seems like a little crazy. But I'm not exactly sure. So then she starts training, doing all this other stuff, and I don't really understand I don't really know what the proving is yet. But she's just training, like doing like climbing, like jumping across platforms, shooting, like hunting, stuff like that. She has a bow, and then it just like transitions to when she's now like when most of the game takes place, and she's like a teenager, I think. I don't know exactly what age she is, but I'd say she's around like 17 years old or 18 years old or something like that. But she could be older or younger even. Not really much younger, but she could be a little older. But I think it's around like 17 or 18, I would say. Though I don't really know. Maybe they say, I forget. I'm not sure. So now at the point in the game that I'm at, the proving is like in one day or something like that. But it started off like the next gameplay part. The next part we could play is when the proving was 2 days before, and that's when the game like really started, like where I really started figuring out like what the game is like. And a lot of first impression videos I only will do it after like I'll try to do after like 2 or 3 hours or 1 or 2 hours. Like Fire Emblem Warriors did after 1.5 hours. But this game like didn't even like I didn't really start like getting to the point that the game will probably be like for most of the game until like at least 2 hours in, 2.5 hours maybe. But like I said, I do take games pretty slowly, so it was probably about 2 hours. But yeah, so that's like partially my fault, but that's fine. I like to take games slow, so I just waited a little longer to make this video. But then a lot of the gameplay, it was a little. There's one thing. Let me think about this. Now I'm going to talk about, I guess, just like what the game is like or has been like so far. And there's like this one area that I guess is the only place I'm allowed to go to. And there was at some points, like I would try to like explore and like leave this like area. If I look at the map, there's like this one area that's colored in, and like it actually looks like the map, and then the rest is like covered by clouds. And I tried to go to like, I don't know if it's clouds or if it's just covered up, but I tried to like go to like a certain area. And I was just like exploring, and it was just like, oh, you can't, you're leaving, like you can't. It was just like, no, there was one part that was like, you're leaving the, wait, I'm sorry, I cough. The leaving the quest area was actually earlier, but it was just like, you can't enter here yet, and there was just nothing there. There was no barrier blocking me, but it just said you can't enter here yet, which was pretty lame. But so it doesn't really encourage exploration, and in the same way, like there's not really rewards for exploring, so the game doesn't really encourage exploration. I guess that's just not really what the game's about. So I didn't really. It's not like in Zelda, like you know, I would just be exploring every nook and cranny and just like looking over this one area and make sure, like literally make sure I walk everywhere and see everything. Whereas in this game, like that's not really what I've been doing, and it's part of it, I guess, is that the game kind of discourages you to do it. But part of it is just I haven't really figured out why yet. But I just, maybe the map is because the map isn't as clear. But it's like I'm not just like checking little everything in the environment. Maybe it's because there's not that much stuff there. As like there's still like the environment so far has been pretty varied, which is like nice. But like what I mean by that, like the environment's probably more detailed like than Zelda, but probably a lot. But at least from what I've seen so far. But the thing about Zelda is like there's constantly stuff that you're finding that's like rewarding, you know. So like you'll constantly find Korok seeds, or you'll find these like, or you'll find shrines, or you'll find just like this new plant or like this new stuff. And this new animal, you're always like finding stuff, I feel like, when you're exploring, whereas so far Horizon that hasn't really happened. But I also haven't explored too much, but yeah, because I feel like you don't really find that much stuff when you explore, I guess, if that makes sense. Like I said, I'm still pretty early, so I still gotta work out a lot of this stuff in my head. But and then like they like give you like quests. So like Zelda was more just about like just go out and just do what you want. Horizon, like literally it was like, okay, you need to go. When the game first like opened up and became like the game, Ross was like, you need to go gather these parts of fire arrows, and like there's a little like waypoint, and the waypoint is like always there, like in the it's on the map, but it's also like just in the world. Like you'll just be running to it, it'll be like 372 steps away, kind of like in Call of Duty, how it like does that, and it'll be like 20 meters away, and you're running to the waypoint. And I don't know if I don't think I really like that, because I feel like it like it's like a game, so like the fun should be in the journey, you know. Not in like just like get to the destination, because then it just turns into like running as fast as you can until you reach there, and that gets kind of boring. Whereas if it was like you were, and I tried turning them off, like I turned them off in the settings and they just did not turn off. So I don't know if there's something I'm missing or if I don't understand something, but I'm like pretty sure I turned them off and I didn't notice any change. They're still there, so that's a little bit annoying. I like that they're there on the map, but I don't like that they're there in the overworld, or not, like just like while you're playing, that it just shows you them. I like that that's an option, but I don't think it should have to be there, and I don't know why it's still there, even though I'm pretty sure I turned them off. So I don't really know what that is for. But there was some interesting things I would find just while running there. Like I was going to like one of the waypoints, and I found, oh, this person needs help. And then this game, there's a lot of like, it's a very quest heavy game from what I've seen so far. Like at first, when that like game first like started, you know, like when I first became 16 or 17 or 18 or 20 or whatever, it was like you need to get these fires, and then there's also this other thing that you don't have to do but you can do. Actually no, there's nothing you had to do. You had to go talk to this guy and get this new weapon, and then you also had to, or there's another one that you didn't have to do, but you could talk to this woman and ask what she needs, because like she needs some help. And then you have to like hunt rabbits for her, and then like find this like these like beads that she lost somewhere, and then like as I would like go sorry, I'm trying to like, go away from the mic when I do that. As I would like go and do quests, I would like uncover more quests, and I ended up doing like six different things, I guess, but like on my way doing the main quest. And I would like prioritize the side quests first, because I wanted to get those done. And unlike Zelda, where side quests are just like, if you find some of this certain meat, bring it to me and I'll give you some rupees, like the side quests are much more meaningful. It's like, yeah, like there was one that was this guy like got attacked by a machine, and like his leg was like all like ripped up or something like that. I think that was it. Or maybe, but then later this leg just gave out, so I don't know if he got, I think he got like attacked and they hurt his leg. He's like, my daughter went after the machine because like her mother died, and like, but I used the spear to attack the machine, and the spear stuck in the machine, and she wants to get the spear back, so she like chased down it. So can you please like help me get her back? like how make sure she's okay, and then you can save her, and then she's like, thank you for saving me, but that machine still has a spear, and then you can also get the spear if you want to. So like those seem like very urgent things, because it seemed like she would, you know, just like die if I didn't save her, and it seemed like I can't just like wait a long time to do that. I don't know what would happen if I like waited till like 40 hours later and then did that side quest, whether it would still be available or not. But it seemed urgent, so I was encouraged to do it like right away. And the reward was like pretty decent. Like he improved like my spear instead of it just being like rupees. I know there's obviously no rupees in this game, but you know what I mean. And then let's see. So a lot of the game was, you know, though, just kind of like running, or has been like just like running to this checkpoint, running to this checkpoint. So I feel like I haven't been taking in the not checkpoint, waypoint. So I feel like I haven't been taking on the environment as much as I would like to. Maybe there isn't as much stuff in the environment to explore, but I don't know. I'm still liking it a lot. I think I should talk about, you know, so it's just like the exploration. I've spent so long talking about this. Basically, there's not as much exploration there so far, but a lot of the game is, I think, story heavy, but a lot of it's also combat heavy. So I'm gonna talk about the combat now. You have a bow, and most combats, or all the combat so far, has been against machines. There's also like wildlife, but that's not combat. That's just like hunting, and they run away from you. But there's different types of machines, and like you can use your devices, like see what their weak points are and stuff like that. And you have a bow that you can use, and then you can also you have a spear that you can use, and there's basically just one button for light attack and one button for heavy attack. So it wasn't too complicated in the beginning, and then you can also like press B to roll out of the way, and I think that was like the main option for defense. But there seems to be a fair amount of things you can like kind of do with the enemies, which is nice. Like there are like behaviors, I guess, kind of varied. Like a lot of the enemies are like in swarms, and like you can lure one over to you by like throwing rocks and then kill it. But you can also, like, if you just like shoot one enemy and kill it, like a lot of the other enemies around it might be alerted, and so you gotta be careful, because like they might like all attack you then. But then also as the game went on, I got fire arrows, and then I also got two new weapons. So one of them is like called a tripcaster, which you can like shoot it at 2 different points, and it creates a tripwire that stuns them. And when they're stunned, they like can't move for a little bit, so that's really helpful. And then I also got this like slingshot thing that shoots like freeze bombs, but I haven't used it yet, so I don't really know what it does. A lot of the wait, I'm sorry, I lost my story train of thought again. So the combat is pretty good so far, but it isn't like I was thinking. For some reason, I expected it to be a little bit more complex, but I think it like gets more complex as you get more stuff and more skills. There's like the what's the word? Sorry, I'm a little bit sick, so my brain's learning a little bit slow. I literally just don't like the menu. Like when you pause the game, there's like all these different things, and a lot of the what's the word? Like UIs. A lot of the UIs, or a lot of just like the systems in the game, are a little bit overwhelming, and I was afraid they would be the sort of thing that I was so overwhelming that I just didn't really get into it. But I think it's just at a point where it's not too overwhelming. But there's a lot of different stuff. Like there's crafting, so you craft your arrows, like to get new ones, and like the materials you loot from like the machines will let you craft arrows. I've never run out of arrows, and I haven't like felt, because I think like if you kill the machines, like you'll get way more materials for more arrows than the amounts that you use to kill the machines. So that's pretty good. There's like so many different materials that it can be a little confusing, but I don't think it's been like I don't think it's too confusing, although I was worried it might be. You can also craft fire arrows. Now you can also craft the ammo for my tripcaster. Then there's like so many materials. Man, I'm having a big brain fart right now. But there's so many different, like if you just like look in the pause menus, there's so many different like there's like so many different like options you can do. Like there's a skill tree that every time you level up, there's like levels in this game. Every time you level up, you can unlock a new thing in your skill tree. So those keep giving me new abilities. So that's pretty cool. But I was like, once again, I was a little worried it would be too complicated. Like the Mario and Rabbids skill trees, I think are too complicated. And I think we're a little overwhelming. But these ones I don't think are actually too complicated. And so far they've given me pretty good skills. Like one was just like get more materials from monsters that you harvest, but or machines. But another one was like, oh, you can get a stealth takedown now. And another one was like, if you fall from heights, if you like fall down from something, like that won't be loud enough to alert machines. A lot of it also is, a lot of the game is kind of like sneaking around. So like if you're running just from point to point, you're probably gonna come across some machines. But you gotta like, either you can fight them or you can just like sneak past them. But there's like tall grass. This element is a little bit too gamey. Like it's a little bit too like, oh yeah, this is a video game. This is the system of our video game, and it's not quite realistic enough. Like there's parts like where you're running to like if there's like tall grass and there's not tall grass and there's nothing in between. So like either you're completely visible or you're completely invisible, and it like even shows like a light and like this icon of an eye that's like open or closed, and so you're either completely visible or completely not visible to enemies, and it's like there's nothing in between. And even if you like should be invisible from what you're behind, it's not like register as, oh, you're not in the tall grass, this specific grass that hides you, so the machine can still see you, you know, even if you're like behind a bush or something. So that's kind of annoying. It's a little bit too gamey. And same thing with like making noise. There's certain things that make noise and certain things that don't, and it like shows you on this icon. But like if you're walking through water, that clearly makes noise from the game that you can hear, but it doesn't count as making noise. So that's a little bit gamey in that way. But I do like that you can like sneak and stuff. And maybe in some instances it's better to be gamey than to be too confusing. But I do think that could be a little better. But I still do like it. And I do like the combat a lot so far. Like especially when I got the new weapon, the tripcaster, like using that was pretty unique, and I keep getting more stuff, so I keep getting new tools to work with, and that's just only a few hours in the game. Like I just got fire arrows, then I got the tripcaster, and I got some new abilities with my skill tree. So that's pretty cool how I keep getting new stuff that keeps expanding my abilities, and also, you know, I'm leveling up, so I'm being able to do better. And there was literally a part when I was just kind of exploring the world, and I found these like monsters that were just or these machines that I just couldn't beat. Like I'm sure I could have if I was good enough, but I just wasn't good enough. which is pretty, like I like stuff like that where like it's like when I'm better I'll be able to do this, but it's not like, oh, you haven't reached this point in the game so we're not letting you beat them. Like I could have beat them, I just, you know, wasn't good enough yet. So I really like stuff like that. I think my biggest investment in this game so far is the story. So I did all this stuff on that day, and then like it went to the next night, and it was like Ross was like, I have one more lesson to teach you before you enter the proving, and he takes you like outside of the area that she's been in her whole life that she's allowed to stay in, and like these people open the gate for him. And by the way, we still don't know why Rost was an outcast either, and these people open the gate for him, and Aloy is surprised. She's like, they opened the gate for an outcast, and he's like, well, he's like, some people were honored before they were shamed, so that suggested that he was like a hero or something, but then he did something bad that made him an outcast. So, but then we go outside, and there's these like newer machines that hadn't fought yet, and he's like, these machines are pretty new, they just started appearing, and they've been killing some of our warriors as they try to defend the town or the tribe against them, or some of the warriors. So they're called braves, or the warriors actually, they're called braves actually. So he's like, here, this is your task, you have to kill it, and I'm not going to help you, so no matter what happens, this is on your own. And I killed it. I killed one of them, and he's like, good, do you know what the lesson was? And I was like, and she was like, it was a test, you know, to fight this new machine, test my skills. And he's like, no, if you didn't kill that thing today, how many braves might it have killed tomorrow when they were hunting? You have to learn, once you become a part of the tribe, you're probably going to become a brave, and you're going to, although I think braves was also just a word for guys, because I think most of the hunters are guys in the tribe, because when I was talking to people in the tribe, they were called Nora Mother and Nora Brave, and I couldn't talk to them. Like, I'll just try talking to them and be like, I hope the outcast knows that I cannot talk to her, and I'll try to talk again. It's like, I wish the outcast would get the message to just go away. And why does the outcast think that the tribe's laws don't apply to her? And like, there was literally like 10 different dialogue options that they would keep saying, which is pretty interesting. But anyway, so that was, I think, the last thing that I've done on the thing with that new machine. And Aloy's like a little like, I don't know how I feel about that, because it's like my tribe. Like, these people have rejected me for my whole life, so it's weird that they would just become my tribe, you know. But so that's gonna be an interesting thing, assuming I win / succeed the proving, which I still don't really know what that is. So I'm excited to figure out what that is. But I definitely, I didn't know exactly what to expect for this game going into it, but I'm really enjoying it so far. There's things I don't like about it, but there's a lot of things that I really do like about it. So I really do not know, like, where my taste, like how, like what, I don't really know what to expect from the rest of this game, and like what the plot's gonna be for the rest of this game. Like after the proving, like I don't know what's gonna happen next. But I imagine I'll have to explore the rest of the world for some reason, but I don't know why. And I don't know if the world's gonna really be open after that. Like maybe I'm still in like the Great Plateau section, if you know what I mean, or if it's still gonna be kind of linear, like, oh, now this is the next section of the world you're going to. I really don't know, and I really don't know what to expect from the rest of this game. I think I like it so far. I'm still like, I don't know, and I'm like 4.5 hours in. Like usually that's enough to like understand the game, and I still really do not understand this, like a lot of what this game has to offer. I love the story. I like the combat a lot so far. like obviously like it could like if this game is it's a long game, like I looked at how long to beat, and main plus extras was like 43 hours, but I usually take way longer than it lists on how long to beat. So it'll be many dozens of hours. So like I don't know if dozens of hours from now the combat will keep evolving and I'll keep loving it, or I'll like it even more, or I'll start getting bored of it. I have no idea. And I don't know like what the plot's gonna be like, and I'm sure I'm gonna be able. There's like one person who like breaks the law and trades with outcasts that I was talking to, and I could trade with him. But once, if assuming I become not an outcast, I'll be able to talk to a lot of other people, and like that'll have some interesting dynamics. And there's probably the store was like so interesting, or like not a store, it was like the guy I was trading with. That was pretty interesting too. There was like all this different stuff, and then like you could trade with. And there's so many like different items, like materials and resources in the game. This is sort of back to what I was talking about earlier that I was like kind of overwhelmed by. And like you can look at like its uses, and it's like this can be used for trading with merchants, for crafting weapons, for crafting this. And there's a lot of like crafting and stuff. It's just I'm still a little overwhelmed by it, but I think I'm starting to wrap my head around it. But I'm really curious to keep playing more of this game. I'm definitely enjoying it so far, despite there being things I don't like, or things I'm more unsure of. But I just sort of didn't know what to expect from this game going in, and I still don't completely know what to expect, which is really interesting. But I'm excited to play more, and I'm excited to give you guys some of my more solid opinions on the game later on. But I think that's pretty much all I have to say. This is normally out in my first impressions videos. I made it like 2 recently, but I made a bunch like earlier in the year. Like I did one for Mario Odyssey and Fire Emblem Warriors recently. I also one for Snipper Clips, for Fast RMX, I think. For I did one for the Nintendo Switch overall. I did one, and I probably have a couple others. I did one for Zelda, and for most of the first impressions videos I made, I have pretty like solid opinions by then. But this one is, my opinions are still, I don't even know what to think. But I'm definitely enjoying the game. So also the music is pretty good too, from what I've heard. But I'm definitely enjoying the game so far. But I think that's kind of cool. That's a cool thing about first impressions videos. It's like, this is how I feel after only a few hours playing the game. And this is like, so this is probably like exemplifies why I like the first impression videos so much. Like this is probably does the best job of like saying that, because like I still don't completely know what to think. But I think that's enough talk about Horizon Zero Dawn. Thank you guys for watching. Please there. Sorry if I've been like a little weird today. I'm pretty sick. That's why. But anyway, please be sure to follow me on Twitch, follow me on Twitter, like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.